I want to talk about today is the WEN lathe. I did an unboxing. It was my first video. Terrible video. Please don't go watch it. You're going to want to watch this video. This one we're going to go through after a month and a half, what I like, what I don't like. We're just going to talk about it and maybe some of the other tools in the shop also. Alright, so first off guys, lighting is so important. I'm working on lighting. I've got this LED light that, get a better angle here. This LED light puts the light right here, but it really doesn't. It's not a great light, so I am working on that. Let's talk about this lathe. This is the WEN 3424T 12-inch wood lathe. It is a 5-speed. The speeds are up here on top. You've got these speeds, and what those are belt positions. If you look in here, that is the motor belt pulley, and then back here is the spindle belt pulley. And as I move the spindle smaller, I'd also move the motor larger and my speeds go up. So on this spindle here, the last one, I can get a speed of 3,400 RPM, 3,400 RPM. Next one up is, need my glasses, 2150. So if I move it here, it's 2,150 revolutions per minute, RPM. I have found it's comfortable on 1,400 right now. I'm going to start moving up as the wood gets harder, and what you do, you have to move it all around. Start out slower when it's odd shaped, move it up, move the speeds up as you get it more round. So right now I do most things at 1,400. I can slow it down to 900 RPM on this one and 520 on this largest one. So like I said, as you move it here, you move it down here on the motor pulley, and all you do is flip this handle down, it loosens it, pull the motor up, and now I can move that belt. The belt's much looser. You can kind of see that the belt's loose, and as I push the motor back down, it tightens it back up. Pull the catch and it tightens it. So not very hard to change, but it's not a variable speed. I could have gotten the variable speed, but it's a little bit more money, and right now this was good enough for me. And honestly, I really haven't seen that it's that much of a trouble. There are some times where it'd be more convenient, but as far as doing what I need to do, this one's fine. But that's one thing to consider. If you want the variable speed, get it from the beginning. So once you get your speed set, this is the drive end. It's like any other lathe, I guess. It's a tapered number 2. So when you're buying stuff for this, make sure you buy the tapered number 2. It's tapered something, but I can't think of what it is. This is a taper. So the 1 is very small. The 2 is a little bit bigger. What this unit comes with for the drive end is the drive spur. And this you can either tap into the wood and then you can knock it in, or you can push it in with the end stock. But that's the drive spur that comes with it, and that would just slide right in here, and that's all you do. You just push it in and it'll tighten up. It kind of gets tight even just pushing it, but it'll tighten up with use as you push it together before you start. To get that back out, it comes with this push rod. This push rod goes into the handle, and you just tap it out. It comes right out. Sometimes it takes a couple taps if you're really using it. I mounted the tool holder up here. I had it down below, but it kept getting full of sawdust, so I moved it up. I've made this shelf with a lip on it, so I can make these little carriers and slide them to wherever I need them. You also get Allen wrenches for some maintenance things. This tool will fit on the drive pinion, and of course the drive spur. So we'll put that back in. The tool rest, we're just going to kind of go along here. Tool rest seems to be a little soft. You can kind of see where I've been using it. It's definitely dented pretty straight, but it's definitely wearing out right in here. I need to get a file and file that flat. part of that is my inexperience at lathe work, and I'll do stupid things and bounce the tool on the rest, but I need to grind that flat. Some other things that you get with this lathe is the mounting flange. You can use this to mount to the face of a piece of wood, screw it in, and then it would screw right on there on the drive. So that's the one I use a lot when I'm starting out with making a bowl, where I don't care if there's 4 holes in it. So that's nice. It's very heavy steel. Haven't had any issues with that. It's a 1-inch, 1/8 thread. So 1-inch thread, 8 threads per inch. If you're buying any accessories for this, good size thread so it doesn't get cross-threaded. Holds very good. So that's the mounting flange. On the other side, you get your end stock running. Shoot, I forget what it's called. I always forget what this is called, but it's got a bearing, so this spins. So as this side, the number 2 taper sits in the end stock still, this will spin with your wood. One thing I have noticed is there's not a lot of room. If you picture the wood is right there, there's not a lot of room to get a tool in there if you want to grind down the wood around the pin. So a lot of guys get the pin that's a lot more tapered so that you can get a tool in there. So I'll probably end up switching this out for that. It's just a little too close to do anything at the end. Okay, so that is what comes with the lathe. Now, my evaluation of the lathe, I think it's a very good lathe. It's very heavy. It will bounce around, but I feel like that's any lathe if you got an odd piece of wood. But it's very sturdy. It weighs 70 pounds for a mini lathe. I think that's the heaviest one that I saw. I'm sure there are other ones that are just as heavy, but in my price range, this was a really good lathe. The tools, moving around the tool rest and adjustment are very good. This one right here, the spring came out right away. Not sure where it went, so I don't have a spring in there, and it will bounce. And in the videos, it's kind of noisy, so I kind of go back and forth taking it off and on. But for now, it's on. That's really the only thing that has come off or been a problem. Other than that, everything works great. The other day I thought I had a bearing problem. It was making a lot of noise, chattering, and I found that I had left the tool pusher in the end, and it was bouncing around like that. Where I thought my bearings were shot, it was my issue, so you don't want to leave that in there. One thing that I did when I bought the lathe, you can see in the first or second video I changed from on my tool bench to on this bench. I had some extra fence panels out in the backyard, and I took them and laminated them together. I glued together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14 fence boards. It's the full height of the fence. I planed it off full height of the fence board, planed it off so it was flat, actually on both sides. I had some 4x4s that I notched out and lag bolted in and made this stand, and it's a very heavy stand. I'm thinking about screwing the legs to the lathe down to this table, but I'm not sure yet, because I do like the rubber feet, but if it bounces, it almost fell off one time, so thinking about that. But as far as lathe stand, this is really nice. It's working out very well. I did add some stops so it won't fall off sideways. If it falls off, it's going to go front to back. So that's my lathe stand. Again, very heavy. I think it's one of the best things that I've done for the woodworking and for the lathe work. So on to some of the things that I've bought for this WEN lathe. As I said, this one came with it. The chuck I bought, this is a WEN 4-tooth. I think they said it's a 4-inch chuck, but it is the WEN product. It also has the 1-inch by 8 threads, so it screws right onto the drive. This one is the 2-pin tighten. It's not the Allen wrench tighten up, so it is a little bit trickier to loosen and tighten. Going the wrong way. Go the wrong way a lot. So it's a little bit trickier to loosen and tighten. It came with the drive screw, and this one you drill a hole in your wood, you screw this in, tighten that up in the chuck, and spin like that. I haven't used this. I see a lot of guys use them. I just don't seem to have as good a luck with this, but I think I was putting it in the chuck incorrectly. So this goes just right in the top of the chuck, not completely down in, where some of the other ones go down in. So I might try this one. The chuck, like I said, you put these 2 handles in. You can open or close it. Works pretty good. It seems like sometimes it's not holding the wood in as good, and if I'm doing something on the end, the wood will wobble because it'll hit it and it just won't hold it as good. So I don't think I'm doing something wrong there, but I think there are better chucks. This one was like, I don't know, $50. So it's a good heavy chuck. Again, it's by the WEN company. Cheap. Some of the chucks can get up to like $150 or more. This was a decent price, but not way up there. And it really does what I needed to do. The other thing I bought was the drill chuck for the end stock. And again, it's the number 2 taper. Fits right in the end stock. So if you take out your live spindle, I will remember it by the end of this video. Live something. So you take that out, you slide this right in. As you go to put holes in, so you would lock down the base, loosen up the pin lock, and you just drive the drill bit in. So you can see it driving in. Sometimes I have to hold it so it doesn't spin because it doesn't really tighten up if it's a good sharp drill bit. Then you bring it back out. If you want to go deeper, run it back in, run the end stock in, and then run it back in. So this was a good one because it saves on your tooling for cleaning out the inside of some kind of a vessel. So I really like that. I started out using some of these spade bits. They don't really center very well, so it tends to wobble around. It does not give you a really good clean hole. So I'm looking to buy a set of Forstner bits. Forstner, F-O-R-S-T-N-E-R, Forstner. And so I've kind of went to using just the biggest drill bit that I had to at least get the center out. I think that's it as far as the actual lathe. Trying to think if there's anything else. I did buy this attachment for the drill. One thing you find is that if you hold a piece of sandpaper on the wood, especially the rougher sandpaper, it'll put grooves in it. So if you use the drill and it's spinning as it's sanding, so you're holding it, spinning it on the wood, you'll see in some of the videos I do that, it doesn't put the grooves in it. So this was really good, and it came with a ton of these little sanding discs, all different sizes. There's a 3000, that's crazy, but all different kinds of from 80 up to 4000, I think, grit. So I really like that. And that's about it. One thing you do want to get, if you do get a lathe, any kind of lathe, you really need a grinder. because the tools will get dull. The best tools get dull, and actually when you buy the tools, they're not really sharp. So I just have this old bench grinder. I've got the really gritty side over here, and then the finer side over here. This one I use for shaping. I've made some of my own tools, and this one is finer for sharpening, so I use that one.